All right, so let's continue our discussion of the concept of cost as we are getting into basically what amounts to an introduction to managerial accounting. So this first little slide that we're going to look at talks about calculating total product cost, and this is the kind of equation that we've kind of gotten used to, maybe a little too used to, because we've been given some information here. Let's see what we've got. It says the total product cost equals the sum of direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. It says, so we have a little formula here. It says, so simply total product cost is going to be equal to our direct materials used plus our direct labor used plus our manufacturing overhead allocated. Okay, so these are both direct items, materials and labor, and manufacturing overhead is an allocated amount. We'll probably say that several more times. All right, so if we want to know the unit cost for a product, it says here that that equals the total product cost divided by the number of units produced, and that makes perfect sense. So the per unit product cost is simply the total product cost, not total product cost divided by the number of units produced. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So we've got this example here, and it says that Blue Denim Company makes blue jeans, and that last week, direct materials, and then they give us some examples of some materials that we're going to be able to easily trace to the product, such as denim, thread, zippers, and rivets, costing $48,000 were put into production. Direct labor of $30,000 was incurred, and they give us a breakdown of that: 50 employees times 40 hours, and then they average $15 per hour. Manufacturing overhead equaled $72,000, and by the end of the week, Blue Denim had manufactured 30,000 pairs of jeans. So this is, they say, calculate the total product cost for last week. Well, we're going to get into this. There's a little bit of information missing here, but we're going to work with what we have. Okay. So this is not a perfect question by any stretch of the imagination, because we're being asked to make some assumptions here. And this is key. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make the assumptions. Um, But I want you to notice something here. We're going to make the assumption that there were no pairs of jeans that were started and not finished. That were, none of this for all of this $48,000 here, all of this $30,000 here, and this $72,000 of allocated overhead. All three of these figures um, represent exactly the amount that it took to make 30,000 pairs of jeans. Now, that's not realistic, but it helps us prove our point and kind of ease into this. So it says calculate the total product cost for last week. Well, this is pretty simple. We can bring our calculator over here and we can say, okay, $48,000 in direct materials right here, these four types of items, plus the $30,000 in labor, plus $72,000 of allocated overhead equals $150,000. Calculate the cost of one pair of jeans that was produced last week. Well, that's pretty simple. All we have to do is divide that $150,000 in product costs by the number of output, and that's going to give us $5 per pair. So, probably not designer jeans. Okay. And if we look at the next slide, I think we will see pretty much that exact same calculation has been done for us here, $5 per unit. All right. So as if we haven't talked about enough different types of costs already, let's go ahead and complicate things a little bit further, shall we? And we're going to discuss the idea of what we call prime and conversion costs. And so it says here that product costs of direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead can be grouped into prime cost and conversion cost. And so it says here that prime cost, you need to really pay attention. Prime cost is the sum of direct materials cost and direct labor cost. So prime cost equals direct materials plus direct labor. So these two items that are, direct materials, direct labor, these are also direct costs. So direct materials and direct labor are types of prime costs. They're also direct costs. Okay, if we go back a few slides. Now watch this. It says conversion cost is the sum of direct labor cost and manufacturing overhead, so that the formula for conversion cost is direct labor plus manufacturing overhead. And you might say, well, no, wait a minute. What are you talking about? You already used direct labor up here as part of prime cost. Now you're going to tell me that it's down here in conversion cost. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to tell you. So direct labor is both a prime cost because it can be easily traced, and it is a conversion cost because we are converting labor into a product. The direct materials we don't call those conversion costs because we bought those specific materials to make a specific type of product. But when it comes to direct labor, this direct labor could be trained to do any type of work. We could paint birdhouses, or we could paint Christmas tree ornaments, whatever. So prime costs are going to be direct materials, direct labor. Conversion costs, we're going to convert labor into a product, and then we're going to convert expenses that are otherwise not traceable into a product, and we're going to call these conversion costs. Okay, so remember these items. Looks like we have another little calculation example here. It says how to calculate prime cost and conversion cost in total and per unit. And this is a helpful exercise because you may find that you're taking a test or doing some homework and you are asked to calculate prime cost and conversion cost. So back to our original example, it says that Blue Denim Company makes blue jeans, and that last week direct materials, same four items, cost the same $48,000, were put into production. Direct labor of $30,000 was incurred. This is the exact same formula we had before. Manufacturing overhead equaled the same $72,000. By the end of the week, Blue Denim had manufactured 30,000 pairs of jeans. Again, the exact same thing that we had before. Okay? But now we're going to do something else. We're not probably going to be asked to convert the $5 cost per unit because we've already done that. So why would they ask us to do it again? It wouldn't make much sense. So let's see what we have here. Oh, they want us to do four different things. They want us to calculate the total prime cost for last week, calculate the per unit prime cost, calculate the total conversion cost for last week, and calculate the per unit conversion cost. So first of all, let me just say they're not asking us to do a whole lot here. They really aren't. Okay, so they've given us the solution here for number one, so we really don't have to do anything. We said that direct materials and direct labor were $78,000. I'm sorry, we said that, let me back up there. We said that direct materials and direct labor were prime costs, and so if we add those two together, we come up with $78,000, and that is our answer for number one. So if we were to try to calculate our per unit prime cost, we would simply take $78,000 divided by the 30,000 pairs of output, and we're going to come up with a calculate per unit prime cost is $2.60. Now, what I want to do real quickly is I want to write this down. $2.60 per unit prime cost. Okay. All right, so I'm going to erase that. It also says here, calculate the total conversion cost for last week. Well, I want to go back up here. Our manufacturing overhead was $72,000. If you're in one of my classes, you can just skip ahead to the next slide, but not everybody is in one of my classes. So we're going to do this to where we can learn the best. I would encourage you to be patient. So what are conversion costs? Well, it's manufacturing overhead, $72,000 plus direct labor. So that's going to be $30,000, $102,000. Okay, so that's the answer to number 3. Now it says calculate the per unit conversion cost. We're going to take this 102,000 and we're going to divide it by the 30,000 units of output, and we're going to come up with $3.40. So let me just write prime over here, and then I'm going to write conversion right here. Conversion costs were $102,000, $72,000, $72,000 manufacturing overhead plus $30,000 of direct labor divided by the same output equals $3.40 per unit conversion cost. Now I want to come right back over here and I want to add these together. Not because we would actually do this, but I'm trying to prove a point. Now notice that's $6. If you recall, our per unit product cost was only $5. So how is it that we came up with $6? Well, the way that we did that was, remember right here, this direct labor. We're counting that twice. So we counted direct labor as both a prime cost and a conversion cost, and 30,000 divided by 30,000 equals 1, and that's why we're at $6 here. We have an extra $1 in there. So my point is we cannot take the prime cost per unit. We cannot take the prime cost per unit and add it and simply add it to the per unit conversion cost and come up with cost per unit. It won't work. It will always be too high. Not always by $1. That was convenient, but it will always be too high. And here we go. We have the calculations here for us. Nice and easy. There's our 260. Here's where we did number 3, and then our per unit conversion cost was $3.40. And then we're going to get the same warning. It says, remember that prime costs and conversion costs do not equal total product cost. And that is because direct labor is part of both prime cost and conversion cost. I think we probably should go ahead. Yes. Let's go ahead and end this video. This is a good stopping point, and we'll start another one next.